Though it has been little noticed, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un received another important visitor over the last day. That was Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov, who came to him as the personal emissary of Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Russian role in the Korean crisis has not been, I think, given the amount of attention it deserves. The Russians were the key bridge makers between the South Koreans and the North Koreans, starting with various diplomatic contacts they had with the two Koreas back in October. The North Korean diplomat, who is now leading the discussions with the US and who has become the point person with the US negotiators in trying to arrange the summit meeting between Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump, visited Moscow in October, where she met Lavrov and agreed the first steps which led to the breakthrough which took place in January between the North Koreans and the South Koreans, when the North Koreans decided to send a joint team with South Korea to the Winter Olympic Games. The key point about the Russians is that they are the people who hold, in a sense, North Korea's economic destiny in their hands. There is a long-standing project dating back a decade ago to extend the Trans-Siberian Railway through North Korea to South Korea, connecting the two Koreas by rail to Europe. There are also long-standing plans to build a gas pipeline from Russia through North Korea to South Korea, at one and the same time sorting out the energy needs of the two Koreas and also connecting them to the Russian and European energy net. This at a time when Russia is already building large gas pipelines to China, which are due to be completed next year. For the South Koreans, this is a key project enabling them to link their economy to Europe and integrating their economy with the European and Eurasian economies in a single economic bloc. For the North Koreans, it represents the moment when their over-dependence on China starts to end and their economy too becomes integrated into that of the modern world. So Russia holds the key to these two major events, and that explains why Mr. Lavrov is in Pyongyang and has been talking to Kim Jong Un. What do the Russians gain from this? Russia is the only country which has, throughout the Korean crisis, managed to stay on friendly relations with both North Korea and South Korea. North Korea has had a complicated and difficult relationship with China, which it sees not just as a potential ally, but also more threateningly as a potential hegemon. South Korea and Russia, by contrast, have also had long-standing and good relationships with the South Koreans and the Russians actually even working together on military programs and developing arms together, a sign of how close their relations have become. So the Russians have been able to play a major facilitating role, both in setting up these negotiations between the two Koreas and in providing them with a future economic position from which they can both benefit. The Russians may not be at the center of the Korean diplomacy, but they are there, and they, along with the Chinese, the US and the South Koreans, are for that reason welcome in Pyongyang.